Dr. Romberg.
Good morning. My name is Matthew Romberg, and I'm here today to voice my opposition to Senate Bill 1. I'm a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist and a fellow of the American Congress of OB-GYNs, or ACOG. I'm providing each of you with a copy of my statement and 3 articles from the peer-reviewed journal ACOG that I'll be referencing today. You'll also get a copy, a statement from the Texas District of the American Congress of OB-GYNs. In over 10 years of my direct involvement in the reproductive health care of women, I have unfortunately forgotten many of the names and faces of the patients I had the pleasure of caring for as they welcomed a new arrival into their family. I chose my specialty in part so I could participate in what many of my patients consider one of the happiest days of their lives. However, another unfortunate reality exists: my inability to forget the patients that have a poor outcome. One such patient arrived at my office with her husband for their 20-week ultrasound. Such an ultrasound is considered the standard of care, and while most women remember this ultrasound as the first time they were told the gender of their developing fetus, the purpose of the exam is to screen for fetal anatomic abnormalities. 20 weeks gestational age is often the earliest time in a pregnancy that all fetal anatomy can be accurately evaluated, and it is after this examination that a patient may first be referred to a maternal-fetal medicine or MFM specialist if an abnormality is suspected. The first thing I told my patient and her husband was that they were expecting a baby girl. Their excitement, and indeed my own, quickly evaporated when the next thing I said was that there was a problem. There was evidence of a significant fetal hydrops, a condition associated with fetal heart failure. The findings were severe enough that a subsequent analysis by an MFM specialist suggested the chance of fetal survival at less than 5%. Part of the counseling I share with all of my pregnant patients is that my goal as their obstetrician is a healthy mother and a healthy baby, and in that order. As soon as my patient above received such a dire prognosis for her pregnancy, my priority became the mother, thereby obligating me to discuss her risks and benefits of prolonging versus ending her pregnancy. Never is it safer to carry a fetus to term than to end pregnancy. Never. Yes, there are risks and complications associated with ending a pregnancy, but each such risk is greater if a woman carries a pregnancy to term. Senate Bill 1 blindly focuses on the risks and ignores the benefits, joining a collection of laws limiting access to a safe procedure when the alternative is riskier. Participants in medicine and public health should never focus on risk alone, but unfortunately the late press and the legislatures often do just that. The authors of the original Senate bill, an orthopedic surgeon, an ophthalmologist, and a family practitioner, mask their blatant opposition to reproductive choice with a facade of patient safety arising from their medical credentials. Even legislatures who want to outlaw abortion, except when the procedure will protect the health of the mother, are ignorant of the fact that the exception is true 100% of the time. To paraphrase one of the articles I gave you today, abortion will always be a medical procedure that individuals will view differently with their own personal reasons for supporting or condoning a woman's right to control her body. As a society, we must agree to disagree based upon our own political and religious views concerning abortion. However, regardless of these personal views, every woman deserves factual medical information whenever she is facing a decision of whether or not to end a pregnancy. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator West.
Because I'm not a doctor, and so I'm at a kind of a disadvantage when Dr. Campbell, Senator Campbell, talks about literature that says that on the issue of fetal pain, and more specifically the specialty of anesthesiology, that there's literature that says that there is pain. Have you had any experiences in that particular area, or have you had an opportunity to talk with individuals who experience in that area that have an opinion concerning quote-unquote fetal pain?
No, I have not.
So when we talk about that issue, you don't have the wherewithal to be
correct
a specialist or give us really any good testimony on that.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair. Senator Zachary.
Doctor, you said you gave us some written testimony? Madam Chair, I don't believe I have that written testimony.
We will find out. We will in 2 seconds.
A small pile.
And I will tell the members of this committee, I'm going to distribute, I thought it had all been distributed from these 4. Then for those others, instead of having people walk back and forth in front of us, I'm going to ask to hold the testimony and give it to each senator in a big packet unless the person wants to have it passed down during their testimony.
All right, so it would help us ask questions.
Well,
if we would have it. I know, the first witness gave us some very helpful information.
Well, these, I had
Coming.
assumed that all four of these were passed out. So, do you have a question,
Yes.
Senator? Go ahead.
Doctor, are you aware of any, quote, substantial evidence, unquote, that an unborn child feels pain at 20 weeks?
No, I am not. I can't imagine when the senator discusses anesthesiology. Yes, they're experts in pain, experts in management of fetal pain is something they've never done. So clearly, if there are studies that she's referencing, they have to be based upon basic science that is dealing with tissue samples, I imagine.
Well, Senate Bill 1 says that there is substantial evidence. Are you aware of any evidence, any scientific evidence at all, that an unborn child who is 20 weeks old feels pain?
No, I am not.
None.
None.
You know of opinions, just no evidence.
Correct.
Okay. Where are you from, Doctor?
Here in Austin.
In Austin. Okay. Thank you. Oh, one more question. You heard my questions to an earlier witness, the representative from the state agency in charge of health services, and she testified that abortion facilities are inspected once a year, but ambulatory surgical centers are inspected every 3, perhaps every 6 years. If this bill passes, do you believe that abortion facilities should, instead of being inspected every year, be inspected every 3 to 6 years?
I would suggest perhaps that their annual inspection is somewhat overzealous, whether or not it'd be beneficial to our patient safety if they're examined every 3 years would not be a good idea.
But under current law then, abortion facilities are subject to a higher requirement, annual inspections, than they would be if Senate Bill 1 were to pass.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'd like to ask you one question, follow up to Senator Zaffarini's question. Can you say absolutely certain, with certainty, that a 20-week-old fetus does not feel pain?
No, I can't say that.
Thank you. Senator Rodriguez, you were next.
Just a brief question on the doctor-patient relationship. We read a lot about that relationship being eroded by legislation like Senate Bill 1. I know the Texas Medical Association has indicated that to us and others as well. Can you elaborate for us what that erosion consists of? Can you specify how is that relationship being eroded by this type of legislation?
I think we could talk ad nauseum about how that could be set forth. I think that a question that I'm often asked is, when do I think that life begins? And my answer is, it doesn't matter when I think it begins, and it doesn't matter when you all think it begins. It matters when the patient in my room with me thinks that it ends or begins. And by putting forth legislation like this, you're interfering with my patient's ability to make that decision.
Thank you.
Well, let me follow up with that. I said I was going to not ask questions, but if a patient comes to you and does not believe that life begins until the baby has been inside the mother for 8 months, do you believe that that mother should have the right to terminate that baby's life?
Oh, I think it'd be hard for me not to interject my personal feelings at that point in that scenario at 8 months.
Okay. Senator Garcia?
Just a quick question. Doctor, you were here when Ms. Miller testified and told us about the comparison of the clinics that she runs, as health clinics, and the ASCs that she runs, and that she saw no difference in the safety record?
Yes, I'm sorry, can you ask your question again?
Were you here
Yes.
when Ms. Miller testified and she was talking about how her group manages both the ASCs and regular health clinics that provide abortions, and that she saw no real difference?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall that she said that she saw no real difference in the safety record?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree do you agree with her, or have you observed any anything differently?
No, I have not observed anything differently.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just wondered. Thank you.